All right, now let's take a look at how to actually do a wall angel. A few things to remember. One, it's progressive. We can make it progressively more difficult or more easy, depending on what our clients need. The next thing to remember is that it's universal, meaning it works the entire body and it both stretches and strengthens. It's compound. So what we're going to do first is look how to do a wall angel from beginning to end properly. What it should look like when your posture is healthy. So the very first thing that we do is we touch our heels, bum, shoulders, head to the wall. Once you've contacted your heels, bum, shoulders, head to the wall, next thing we want to do is we want to flatten this low back. So when we flatten the low back, we have to contract our transverse abdominis. Now another way that we could think of it is to tuck our tail, to pull our tailbone down and forward. So again, that's heels, bum, shoulders, head, low back, flat against the wall. Next thing we do, we bring our arms up, we touch our elbows, we touch our fingers, and then we touch our thumbs together above our head. And what you would do, maintaining this proper position, heels, bum, shoulder, head, low back, elbows, all the way up, you do that 10 times. Now, that looks relatively simple, and that's because I've been doing wall angels for years trying to fix my posture, and it's something I still do quite regularly. But what happens if you can't quite do it? In fact, before I move forward, what I want you to do, take a few minutes, find a blank spot of wall, and give it a try. Heels, bum, shoulders, head, get your low back touching the wall, elbows, fingers, touch your thumbs above your head. Then we'll come back, and we'll look at how we can modify it. All right, welcome back. So you gave it a try, and what I'm sure you discovered, it is not quite so easy. A lot of the time, the most difficult part is getting that low back flat against the wall. So the first adjustment we make is to make that possible. And it's quite simple. We just step a little bit away from the wall. Now what we want to do is we step about a fist width away from the wall, touch your bum, shoulders, head, and then we flatten our low back. And if you're still having a really hard time, bring those feet just a little bit further away, and you continue to move your feet further away from the wall until you can quite easily touch the bum, shoulders, head, low back touching the wall. And once you've accomplished that, then bring our arms above our head and we go through the motion. And again, you do this 10 times. And very gradually, as that becomes simple, you bring your heels back a little bit, you bring them back a little bit more, and a little bit more. Now another possibility is even with your feet away from the wall, and you have this proper posture, as soon as you go to bring those shoulders up, your low back arches or your head comes off the wall. So if your low back arches, that indicates the primary postural dysfunction is in the pelvis. If your head comes off the wall, that indicates the primary postural dysfunction is in the head and neck. So we're going to isolate. Let's first isolate that pelvic region. So we're not going to worry about what's going on in the head, neck, shoulders, anything like that. All we're going to do is work hard on getting that low back to touch the wall. So bum, shoulders. Don't worry about the head yet. With the bum and shoulders, try and touch that low back. And that's it. Curl, low back touch, relax. Curl, low back, touch, relax. And you'll find, even if you have relatively good posture, just getting that low back flat against the wall and relaxing, not worrying about the head, shoulders, or feet, just that low back can be quite difficult. Now what I want you to notice as I do this, it's quite difficult to see, is my knees are bending. I'll exaggerate the motion. I touch that low back and my knees bend. That's not unusual. It has to do with how the pelvic muscles are pulling. You know, if I go into a posterior pelvic tilt, my hip flexors pull on my femur and bring my knee into flexion. So I want to do my best to make sure that those knees stay straight when I do this. All right, that's just focusing on the low body, on the pelvis. And the same thing, we'll bring our feet gradually back until we can get our feet and bum against the wall, touch your shoulders, and the same thing. Not worrying about the head, not worrying about the neck. Just bring that low back against the wall and relax. All right, now let's say, for example, during it, the initial wall angel, you discover that the head and neck was the dysfunction. The head kept coming off the wall. Well, then we simply focus on the head and neck. Don't worry about what's going on with the feet. Just touch that bum, get the shoulders, not worrying about the low back this time. Get your head against the wall, and then once the back of your head is touching the wall, you'll just tuck your chin and relax. Yeah, it looks silly, but it works. Touch your chin and relax. So again, pelvis, core, doesn't matter right now. Tucking the chin and relax. Now, once you can tuck your chin quite easily, now we bring those shoulders into play. Get those shoulders up. Don't worry about a wall angel. Just hold them in this position. Tuck that chin and relax. And then once that's easy, now we bring our arms up a little bit. Tuck that chin and relax. Until eventually, you can get your hands all the way above your head, not worrying about that low back, not worrying about the pelvis. Tuck your chin and relax. So you see how progressive it is. Little by little, we add steps. Now, I've got many patients where all they're doing is standing about a fist width away from the wall, and they're just doing those tummy tucks, right? That's all they're doing is getting that low back flat and relaxing for weeks, until eventually that becomes simple. And there's nothing wrong with that. It could be weeks, it could be months. Fine. We always meet our client where they're at. And if that's where they're at, we roll with it until eventually that becomes easy, and we add a step, and we add a step. So just for a little bit of context is, wall angels pretty much saved my posture. When I was a teenager, I did what teenagers do, and I slouched and I stood with a forward head posture. Now, I was a teenager quite a long time before we had cell phones in our hands all the time, so I didn't really have the typical cell phone neck, but I definitely had typical forward head posture. I'd stand like this, like most teenagers do. Forward head posture, slump back. It was so bad, in fact, that I ended up getting crippling migraines just from the tension in my head and neck due to my poor posture. So I started doing wall angels, and genuinely it took me almost 2 years to be able to get to the point where I could comfortably go through a full wall angel without any pain or discomfort. Still takes effort though. That's the remarkable thing. Even with healthy, strong posture, it's still something that I can do and find challenging. So that's a wall angel, beginning to end. It's progressive, it's deceptively challenging. It's something that we need to be practicing as well. We practice what we preach. So with that, let's now go into individual stretches and strengthening.